I mean, it's hard to say that it's better than the main game because I feel like that's pretty harsh.
That's going to be the title, Jules.
No, I know, but just imagine imagine watching this. Because clearly loads of video game developers watch our stuff. They sit there and they're just thinking, oh, cool, I spent 80 to 100 hours writing this for you, and you've got distracted by some tin pot side, like, carnival attraction. And fair enough. For me, it's Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII. Because while I adore Final Fantasy VIII, and sometimes get the plot confused because there's so many of them and they're very convoluted sometimes, as was highlighted in a previous video, Triple Triad was exceptional fun. Have you all played it?
Yes. No. Oh my god! It's the theme. It's the
card game so good that it got its own spin-off release. It was like Gwen. Everyone was just kind of like, "Oh, this is brilliant. This is like, oh, everyone's like, nah, Triple Triad." Was just like, "Did it first, mate. Did it first." Like, you know, take some notes from the real OG. It's an infuriating video game, to say the least. I'm not going to lie. There have been many frustrating moments where, because when you play the game, depending on what region you're playing in the game world, they'll have their own set of rules, and they actually follow you around like a disease. So, for example, you could be like, oh, I really want this rare card that I know this guy's got, which means I can't play anyone in this area because they've got the random rule, which means I can't choose what cards I have, and instead it deals them out and I have a great chance of losing. So yeah, it kind of becomes a tactical thing of avoiding certain card battles in order to get that one rare card that you want. And there's no point to it. There's no point to it whatsoever. You're meant to use the cards to synthesize them to create the ultimate endgame weapons. I didn't do that. I made the game purposefully harder for myself by refusing to give up my best cards. And that music is amazing.
The music's amazing, and I was just like, oh, this is cool. This like slime thing can fight this other slime thing because it has 5 and the other one has 4, and it's a bit like Pokemon, and the music's good. And that was about as far as my mind went.
That description has not helped anyone who's not played this game. I've got a slime thing, you've got a slime thing, mine's got 5, yours has got 4. I win.
That's video games, that.
Well, you know, even though I have a soft spot for Spider-Man the movie, the game, the tie-in to the very first Sam Raimi movie, I do quite like that game. I used to play it to death, wanted to unlock all of like the different costumes and stuff, but Spider-Man Pinhead Bowling, which was a mini game in that game, is something that me, my dad, and my brother like sank maybe hundreds of hours into. So the setup is pretty much exactly what you expect, right? You are Spider-Man, you're in this massive bowling alley, and you need to swing down the lane, and then you need to kick webbed up dudes who are acting as the pins and try to get a strike and get as high a score as you possibly can. And, you know, watching it back, it doesn't quite, you know, live up to my memory of it. The physics aren't quite as good. It looks a bit daft. But there's something so charming about it, man, because, you know, you get to, it's a multiplayer game inside a single player game. And you've got Bruce Campbell, like, as the owner of the bowling alley who's, like, talking to you while you're doing it. There's got some really good music on while you're playing. And you're just trying to knock these goons over, which is funny in and of itself. Like, the idea that Peter Parker, in his first year as Spider-Man, wasn't, like, taking these goons to the, you know, the police station or anything. He was kidnapping them, tying them up, constructing his own bowling alley, life-size bowling alley, to put them in to just make them suffer. I think that adds a cool metatextual framing device to the whole thing, which I didn't appreciate much as a kid. And it's just daft. It's just like daft fun. And it was so addicting at the time. Like, you know, I don't know what it was, but when I was a kid, like, I used to get into these mini games. Like, I played the hell out of Mortal Kombat chess. I don't even know how to play chess. Like, I don't know how to play chess now, and I couldn't do it. But if you put me on Mortal Kombat chess, I'd probably have a good whack at it. You know what I mean? But yeah, Spider-Man Pinhead Bowling, playing that with my brother and dad was a lovely memory from my childhood. And if anyone has that game, which I don't know why you would, give it a whirl. It's probably still fun, maybe. I don't know. I can't guarantee that, actually.
So again, just to reiterate that Josh Brown has the one correct answer in this video and that all other answers are inferior because Spider-Man Pinhead Bowling is the best. But if I'm going to talk about minigames that I feel as though maybe lend themselves more seamlessly to the experience, not to say that I can't imagine Spider-Man creating a giant bowling alley where Bruce Campbell is the sole creator and godlike figure that rules over the dimension as he executes endless waves of criminals that have been wrapped up in his webbing. I'm not saying that it's not seamless. It works, okay? I can definitely see it. However, in terms of minigames that have integrated themselves seamlessly into the main game, you don't get better than Red Dead 2. And honestly, the amount of time I just spent in the camp, chopping and digging, chop chop, dig dig. Dutch would be there saying, Arthur, I hear chopping, but I don't hear digging. And I would just keep doing it, just carrying the milk everywhere, bringing the hay to the horses, bloody stabbing myself in the hand because that's what passed for entertainment in the late 19th century because, you know, that's what you did. Absolutely sucking at all the bad board games. I can't play most of the board games in that game. I'm just there chatting the crap with Mary Beth as like moving these counters around. And I'm just like, oh, I've lost. Oh no, that's literally all it is. Like, the mini games in Red Dead, not only do they familiarize you with the characters, even if you're really bad at them, you have a great time. It's a lot of fun, it's a lot of banter, unless you do stab yourself repeatedly with the knife, which you don't want to do. In fact, the knife game was probably the one that I was best at. I don't even know why I'm kind of downplaying it here. It's the best one. But yeah, it's the mini game in Red Dead. So what you're saying is that the mini games on offer are board games that you lose at, manual labor, and stabbing yourself in the hand. That's what passed for a good time back in the Wild West. Look, mate, there is nothing more fulfilling in Red Dead 2 than carrying the hay from one end of the camp to the other end of the camp. I'm just putting that out right now. Or refilling the wash barrel, going to the dirty river and filling up the wash barrel. I love that.
Now the exact phrasing, I know I jumped down Jules' throat when he tried to challenge the phrasing before, but I am going to talk about all the Tekken minigames. But to say that Tekken Force was better than Tekken 3 is insanity, because Tekken 3 is the best game of all time.
Correct.
It's out there. And so, but it's still, you know, Tekken Force, Tekken Ball modes, they were brilliant. That one, the volleyball one, I forget.
That was great fun.
Yeah, I loved it. And putting his little gon and Dr. Boskonovich and everything, just farting the ball over the middle net. Like, yeah, I loved it. But I have a soft spot for 3D brawlers, because I only find that there's only like 5 of them. There's sort of like most of it is 2D, which I always hate because you can't line up the planes very well. I want like 3D brawlers. I want that one thing that I can't even think what you call it now. There was a game that Namco did using the Tekken engine that was into a brawler, and like the Minority Report game was a 3D brawler, which I loved because it was a 3D brawler. All of this is to say,
do you remember Fighting Force?
Well, Fighting Force good too, but when they did the Tekken Force mode, that was all my dreams coming together. Because it was like 3D brawler using the Tekken fighting engine, playing as Jin Kazama, just running through the Mishima Zaibatsu or whatever, the Heihachi's evil organization, just roundhouse kicking 7 or 8 dudes. And I loved it. And I remember when they did the cutscene for Tekken 4, and it showed like Kazuya grabbing a guy by the leg and wanging him into a wall. And I was like, oh, that's gonna be brilliant. Can't do that. Can't do it in the game. But I thought they would, you know, take it and run with it. But Tekken Force, just the mad ramblings of a man who loves Tekken Force and has for so long, and they've never fleshed it out, lads. They've never done any more. They've never done a full standalone thing. It's just Tekken 3, and that's about it.
So, I am a major fan of the Trials series. I like riding my bikes, I like doing what I want, and my favourite version of that franchise is Trials Evolution, which came out on Xbox Live Arcade in about 2012. And with it, much like Trials HD, there was lots of skill game mini games in it. There's like some way you could ride on top of a ball, you could ride in a ball. Wow. And then there was one.
All the ball-related activities.
Yeah, you can ride through fire and see how far your bike can go on fire. But there was one in Trials Evolution called Sphere. And what it was is, once again, you're in a ball. You were in a ball. And you just do an obstacle course in a ball. And I used to play that every single day when I got home from school. I don't know why. It wasn't even that fun. But it was just, it's one of those ones where you just turn your mind off and just play it and just see how far you can go. It's basically Super Monkey Ball.
Oh, that game was amazing.
Just with Trials characters. No bike. No bike's got a ball. And then that's it. Only balls. And I played it so much, and I got into like the top 100 in the world because I'm that much of a loser. And then I never played it again. I was like, wow. Great, thank you.
You completed it. You know what I mean? Don't need it anymore.
And then I about 2 or 3 days ago, I got it on the PC because it was on sale. And little old me got 50th in the world, and I was like, "Yep, there you go." Turn that on.
Wait, you immediately went in
on my first go. It's so good. I encourage anybody to play that. Any of the Trials games are very good games. And their skill games are even good. I remember you liked it, Scott, did you not, on the Switch?
Oh man, I love Trials. I never played the ball thing, but I love me some Trials. One of the first things we ever talked about was the Trials Fusion and how messy that
Rising.
Rising, yeah.
Yeah, that was trash.
Yeah, it
Wasn't
was.
very good.
I made the mistake of buying it as well.
Yeah, it was.
I always like the mode where you can't stop accelerating, so you just got to hang on
Yeah.
forever as your guy like flails off the side. Like, just give me that. Give me that.
A lot of the mini games in these trial games were very, very good fun, and a lot better sometimes than the actual game, i.e., Rising. But yeah, Trials Evolution Sphere mode.
Do you want microtransactions? Do you know?
Infuriating.
I'm going to say RuneScape because that was my first ever Chatty Faces entry. What a bloody surprise! And I'll tell you why I'm talking about RuneScape later on. But basically, there is one mini game in there called Treasure Trails, and what you get is a nice little clue scroll whenever you're doing like a certain skill, whether it be fishing, woodcutting, mining, hunting, anything like that. I don't know if it's in hunting actually. And it basically drops from somewhere, and then you open it up and it says go to here, or talk to this guy, or you have to solve an anagram, or you have to solve a 2D puzzle box. And I know how to do those 2D puzzle boxes just from RuneScape alone, and it's a valuable skill that you need in real life. And then you go to them, and you just at the end of it you have to do like 4 or 5 certain different clues, and you get a casket which has a bunch of items in it, and you can earn you from anything between 1 GP to millions and millions if you get stuff like the 3rd Age armor, which is in the millions basically, which is a lot of money in RuneScape. Now the reason why I'm talking about RuneScape as my first ever Chatty Faces entry is because this is my last Chatty Faces entry ever, because I'm leaving WhatCulture, unfortunately. Yeah.
Didn't have to say it with such a big smile on your face.
I'm leaving WhatCulture, by the way.
It's sad. You brought things full circle.
I have, yeah.
Who's going to be talking about this game now that you're gone? No one.
No one, because it's the best game in the world, and it's so good that no one ever needs to talk about it ever again.
You're taking it with.
But
I mean, you're editing this, right? Aren't you?
No.
Oh, I was about to say,
No.
could have edited the party hats on.
That would have been great, actually. Yeah. Like by the time this goes live, I've left WhatCulture because Thursday is my last official day, really. But we're revealing it in Choose Your Own Adventure today because this is recorded on Tuesday, which doesn't make sense if you're from the future at all.
I'm not happy about this. Not happy about this time manipulation, but I am happy that you've been here for so long and been such a good friend and made some amazing content. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Thank you for telling the world about RuneScape.
No worries.
And
It's the best game in the world.
Yeah.
Don't know if you guys know that, but it's the best game in the world.
That's debatable. That's debatable. We'll find another person with an equal passion for RuneScape as you. We won't. We won't even look.
You need to rehire the
Narrator.
Yeah, here's my brother Bosley.
Mosley E.T.
Hello.
Hello, have you heard about RuneScape?
No, never heard of it. Imagine if that was our reaction to it. Nah, no one ever talked about it before.
I guarantee by the time that I've left, you guys will all download it, play it, and absolutely love it. And you're like, what the flipping hell is Osley going on about? It's the worst game in the world.